Welcome, everyone. I'm so glad you guys are all here today. Welcome to our Mental Health KC webinars. I'm Jamie. So happy to see all of you, or at least your names today. Welcome on this hopefully relatively beautiful summer day. So I am part of Metro Council, the Metropolitan Council of Community Mental Health Centers. We are a collaboration of all the community mental health centers in the Kansas City Metro, along with a few others. So that includes University Health Behavioral Health, um, Rediscover Mental Health, Slope Health, Beacon Mental Health, um, Centerstone, which is formerly Comprehensive Mental Health, Wyandotte Behavioral Network, Johnson County Mental Health Center, along with Center for Behavioral Medicine and Mental Health America of the Heartland. And so all of us make up Metro Council, um, and just a few things to note during our time together. So we are on Zoom webinar. And the reason we are on Zoom webinar is that way we can have as many people as possible attend our webinars for free. If we were to do a Zoom meeting, we would only be able to limit that to 100 people. We want to have as many people as possible be able to attend. So with that, we have Zoom webinars. And so just a few things to know. With Zoom webinar, you're only able to see the presenter and not yourself. But you will be able to communicate through the Q&A or the chat box. And then at the end of our time together, you will be able to get a certificate of attendance. Couple other things to know with Metro Council. We have first of all, this is our first webinar after our Mental Health KC conference. And so thank you to everyone that attended the conference. We had a record number of attendance, and that was amazing. I think it was an incredible conference. But we do have also an upcoming in-person workshop. It'll be July 9th from 9:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. And it's focused on designing for well-being, how arts, environment, and experience shape mental health. I'm going to actually put it into the chat in case anyone is interested in registering. We'd love to see you. We have already actually been pre-approved for CEUs. So with the registration, that includes 5 CEUs. And the cost at this time is only $20, which is incredible. So come join us. It'll be wonderful hearing all about really arts in mental health, and we hope you come join. So with that, I want to introduce our speaker. I am so excited to have Angelique here with us today, and I want to tell you a little bit about her. So Angelique is an award-winning play therapist, media expert, and founder of Foye-Fletcher Therapy, LLC, where her work centers on the belief that every piece heals the mind, rooted in brain-based trauma-informed care. Angelique blends play, expressive arts, and relational neuroscience to support healing for both clients and clinicians. And actually, she just presented at our Mental Health KC conference. She's also served as a panelist and moderator at Children's Mercy and appeared as a mental health expert on Great Day KC and Fox 4 News. Angelique is passionate about helping therapists, educators, and social workers reconnect with their purpose through creative, sustainable practices. Her workshops bring science and soul together, offering practical tools for regulation, reflection, and real life resilience. And one other thing, we always say this for all of our presenters, but little disclaimer, so the views and opinions are those of the speaker and don't necessarily represent the opinions of Metro Council, but we are so excited to have Angelique today. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Jamie, for that wonderful introduction. And I'm so glad to be here with you all. And as she mentioned, I was at the mental health conference not too long ago, and it was just electric energy. So we're going to bring that here on the webinar as much as you can. So you'll only see my face, but uh, as I present, we're going to be able to do a couple of things here. So before we begin, I wanted to just say in the chat for anybody, go ahead and just kind of share like your role, where you are, and let us know, where you're shouting out. I know a couple people there's from Alabama, Kansas City, North KC, and so I am in Blue Springs, Missouri, in my home. And I am a private practice owner as well as a speaker. So I just wanted to share that for everyone. And we may not be able to get to all, but hey, Janine, hey, Nishay, love to see the names. But I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we'll get started. Okay. So you should be able to, um, we have other folks raising their hands. If you just want to hold on for one moment, today, my purpose, my desire today is to talk about creative resilience, right? So, how do we use expressive arts to help support you who's in a social work role, who maybe is an outpatient, maybe you're in like a clinician role, right? Or administrative. And so, I just want to share a little bit about myself. So, this is a picture of younger me, and I think she's always with me in all my sessions. Every time I talk about play, every time I show up for folks, it's like this is the little girl in me who's a proud, highly sensitive empath. Okay, shout out for people who are from doing music therapy in Kansas City and Olathe. Um, anyway, and I am a proud INFJ, so introvert, intuitive, feelings judging. So of course I'm going to write about our feelings. Of course I'm going to use art. And then I'm an Enneagram 4, which is individualist, creative. And so, there's a little bit about my education, and that just tells you what I study to become this role. But really, I'm clinically licensed in Missouri and Kansas, so I can serve highly sensitive empaths who are adults and deep feeling kids, because that little girl on the state on that picture was a deep feeling kid and is now a highly sensitive adult. And so I have about 15 years of experience, both in working in educational settings. I've taught classes, worked in healthcare, like Jamie mentioned, did research development, but really focused on just trauma, right? So it's like I was called from working for research and development and educational settings and called towards owning a practice that really highlights the beauty and magic and all, right? That sometimes we forget. And so I love when I work with I call it myself a social work adjacent. It's because I'm a licensed clinical manager, marriage and family therapist. So I'm like, okay, I just understand the micro, meso, macro level, understanding just kind of how that affects all, right? But really, my goal for the next, 50 minutes or so is really to just make sure that you guys can walk away with identifying at least three strategies that are rooted in expressive arts that can help promote your own system regulation and reduce burnout. And sort of just talking about it, we're actually going to practice some of that. And so I see some people from the chat saying that they just graduated, they're having private practice. And so this is going to be good for you guys to say, like, okay, I'm perhaps you're feeling like, okay, well, how can I get the connection between sensory-based creativity in my role, whether in a school or healthcare setting or in a civic government? And there's just kind of quick tips because I always hear folks, especially helpers, like, I don't have enough time. How do I have time? And so I'm just going to give you kind of some couple things we can do today. And so you could be anywhere right now, and your mind could be focused on a lot of things. So I really appreciate your willingness and openness to stay connected into this session, right? Because we're going to do a little bit of play, and I want you to, get in make sure you're in a regulated space to apply one of those play informed theory, art interventions. Like I said, I'm also a registered play therapist. I received my certification from Heartland Play Therapy Institute. Amazing crew, and just really feel like I'm deeply rooted in play. So before we begin, as again, Jamie mentioned, this is a webinar, so this is not a space to like kind of speak up and talk necessarily, but it is something I want us to keep in mind in terms of, community agreements, right? So we all have responsibility to respect others. We have to respect ourselves, right? And so, I implore you to be open to some new ideas and perspectives as it relates to using expressive arts, especially in your own setting and even in your personal setting, right? This is not your typical ethics, diagnosis, CU, you know what I mean? Like we get the brass knuckles of that, but really it's important to understand how can we infuse a what I use, which is clinically arts, to help bring openness and help others participate. You don't have to participate necessarily if you just want to, if you're on a walk or you're at work and you just want to listen passively. Hey, I understand. But I will ask you to, at least if you can right now, get a piece of paper, at least 2 or 3 sheets of paper, maybe a journal, if you have some markers or have some pencils, to have, because we are going to do some like, creative activities. So if you can do that right now as I go through these rules. Um, no worries running late. We're just happy you're here. And then stay present in the ways that support you. So that means hydrate yourself, take care of your needs, listen to your needs, take a break, right? And just know that we're maintaining confidentiality and curiosity. So while this slide will not be available post session, what will be available is kind of like a creative resilience toolkit. So again, you'll see in the chat, early in the chat, I linked to my website that has the creative resilience toolkit. So you can go ahead and just open that and have that as your discretion. And there you go. So before we begin, any other things we should add? Feeling good? Hope you got, I was able to squeeze in some time for you to get some paper and some color pencils, right? All right. So I want to know right now, type in the chat, which color or emoji are you? Are you in the surviving stage? Are you in the reviving? Are you stabilizing? Are you striving? Are you thriving? Right? So we have to kind of take notice of where I'm at right now. You know, you can put the emoji in there or you can put the color. I would say that I'm in a place of, I would say pretty striving and thriving, right? I'm feeling energized because I just came back from another in-person workshop that really felt connected. I'm feeling motivated, and I just I'm just so excited to work with you all. Maybe some people are surviving, right? Or reviving. Yeah, oh yeah. We got people in orange, we got people in yellow, orange and red, green. Yep. We have a couple people striving. That's right. Yeah. Noticing that. I'm in orange. So for folks, this is so important to know. Okay, if I'm in the green, if I'm in the yellow and orange stage, low energy, starting to recover, needing support, I implore you to use this opportunity to tap into the some of these kind of creative interventions we're going to have today. And maybe that's what brought you to this session, right? It's because I'm just feeling like in my role and taking care of others, um, and the what's going on in the world, in our own world, is feeling kind of hard, right? And so I just want to kind of keep that in mind that um, if you're feeling like I want to strive to be in thriving, I want to strive to be in the striving, it's okay. We will get there. So thank you for that. Because really, those who are kind of saying they're more in the orange and red zone, it's because you're experiencing burnout, right? Experiencing signs of burnout, which is meaning like emotional numbness, maybe a more irritable feeling, sense of irritability with clients, with patients, right? Are you noticing you're having endless scrolling, right? On your social media, Instagram, because there's highlight reels of, oh, why does it feel like that someone else has it all together and I don't, right? And so sometimes there's that loss of joy, maybe there's physical tension in your body, like I talked to one of my girlfriends today and she's like, I just woke up feeling like this tense in her shoulders, tensity, and she luckily, was able to book a massage like that. But we don't always have that luxury, right? And this is just a gentle reminder that plant where your feet are, where you are right now, just meet there. All right. I'm not asking you to be like anything different from where you are right now, what you can provide. But I want to know that when you have the signs of burnout, that does quickly disconnect you from creativity, disconnect you from wanting to move your body. It disconnects you from relationships, even ones that aren't as toxic or healthy. It just feels like it's kind of hard to manage. And so I think that, you know, if you were to look at here, and say, well, looking at my relationships and looking at where I'm at, am I thriving, coping, or surviving, right? Because coping or resilience would be in the yellow zone. So you can type in the chat if you feel like you're more in the red zone, kind of in the bottom, or more in the green, or maybe in between red and yellow, or yellow and green, right? So take a moment. So when I put it like that, right? Because before, when you're looking at like thriving, striving, all that, it's, and a lot of people are saying yellow and green, maybe more yellow, maybe more in the yellow zone, maybe more in the green zone. That's kind of where we're trying to aim here. The coping is where that resilience will tap in, right? Um, and so the creativity can kind of boost that, if you will. Yep. Deanna says she's yellow. People are in the middle of yellow, green. I see people in yellow, red, right? Um, mhm. And so I would say I'm more upper in the thriving green, but I would say yesterday my kids threw a lot of popcorn on the road. Three and 5-year old, you know what I mean, throwing popcorn all over, have to clean up, get ready, and I'm just like, I'm kind of feeling like in the coat, like low zone. And so show your hands, people who are parents or even taking care of aging parents could feel like on top of your job. Could be more, I'm just coping, I'm just trying to make it through, right? So that's why it's so important to have creativity for that nervous system because when you're in the regulation, it supports your regulation, it supports having self-expression, problem solving a little bit faster, right? Getting your brain ready to learn, ready to get it, right? We have someone on the chat saying just yesterday was thriving coping, but woke up today more surviving than coping. Absolutely. Absolutely. It changes day to day. It depends. You walk into your office, you walk into your clinic or whatever, and you're hearing something that's just immediately like, I have to take care of it. Right. And I think that if you didn't have time to be creative through self-expression, moving your body, anything like that, your nervous system's already shot. Right. It's like, I don't know if I can take on another thing. Right. And so again, the gentle reminder of, you know, we know intuitively that creative practices work because it allows you to reduce stress, it enhances your connection, strengthens the resilience. Again, just kind of reiterating the importance of your nervous system. And the point of this chat is really to kind of help reset, give you some ideas that you can do within less than 5 minutes, less than a minute in between your work schedule. If those who are travel a lot, driving a lot, right? I think that's important to kind of keep like music, right? I really believe that music and movement is kind of part of the healing practice, right? Kind of moves through you. But if you're feeling stuck in that surviving kind of coping mode, sometimes it's hard to keep that in, right? So, all right. I want us to start our first activity which is just your 1 minute play break. So I want you to doodle with your non-dominant hand. Take a piece of paper like this. You don't have to type the titles. That's for me. And just use your non-dominant hand. So for me, that would be my left. And just notice what changes in your body. And I'm gonna have us do that just for 1 minute. Just draw. If you have a piece of notebook and a paper, just draw your name. Make squiggles. If you're ambidextrous, good for you. But if you're not, use your non-dominant hand. Just keep coloring, thumbs up. Use different colors if you want. I always tell my clients, pick the color that you feel today, right? Just as a gentle reminder of what it is. And you just color for 1 minute. Take a pen or pencil. So you're probably asking yourself, well, why did I do that with my non-dominant hand? Doodling is because I would like to say that's your inner child coming out. Because think about when you first was a child and you started to write, right? It was hard, couldn't really think about it. But if using your non-dominant hand, it kind of forces you to think, force you in the moment to kind of like, okay, let me switch gears, right? And so, has anyone noticed any changes in their bodies? Like I noticed that I'm kind of more, oh, okay, I'm more focused, right? And so that was just less than a minute, but you can do that. Non-dominant hand writing. You sat up straighter. Yes. I did too. That's a great point. Sat up straighter. I took more notice. Yeah. So doodling with your right hand, instant little spark of joy. You know why? That spark of joy came from your inner child saying, "Oh, I get to play. And so that's, again, noticing, slowing down a bit. I feel like, people say, I feel like I brought my shoulders up a bit trying to make it neat. Hey, it happens, right? You're trying to, but the aim is not perfection, right? You know, it's being able to say, wow, who's showing up today, right? Maybe you're like, okay, the feeling I'm having is purple, just kind of meh, and I just want to scribble. I just want to, right? And that helps you kind of get out some of that energy that you might be experiencing, right? So this, I like what people are saying in the chat, noticing your breath, calming, spark, taking a breath, not feeling as nervous to make it perfect. Get away from, less about judgment and more about taking off that. Because think about it. The sensory practice, right? The resilience is the ability to return to ourselves after stress. So again, those who are feeling it, you have to return to yourself, right? In that moment, right? Not feeling as nervous, right? Not feeling as perfectionist. And I think that examples of that is, movement. So even stretching, touch, grounding. I have my handy dandy toolkit and I'll talk about it later. Shout out to Blue's Clues if you're from that era. I have my smoothing zone, right? Being able to just take notice and feel. And one thing I'd like for you to try now is kind of twist your body like a pretzel because we know that cross body lateral stimulation really helps. So put your arms out like this, twist at the wrist, turn it in, hold it here. Conscious Discipline by Dr. Becky Bailey says, like, be a safe keeper, right? From Conscious Discipline. What is safekeeping? What can I keep? Taking in and out, right? So by having forcing yourself to cross lateral, hold it in, squeeze and release, right? And make it fun, like pretzel, maybe Tootsie Roll. That's just being funny. You can be outside, right, on your break, right? There's a meme that goes out like someone's on their smoking break, but it's bubbles instead. Just being fun, right? So using natural storytelling, talking, engaging in those kind of senses. People laugh, and I know. But that's again, because adults get to play too. You once was a kid who just wanted to doodle. Yeah, people said even back when I was just doodling, but then focused more on challenging myself to do an outdoor scene. Whoa, challenging ourselves? I get to do this. I get to show up differently. Right, right. Because I think what's important here is part of what when Jamie said earlier, like, where every piece heals the mind, which is my logo, is the four. As you can see here, there's a brain, and it's all made out of puzzle pieces. These are the four pieces that I believe can get towards healing, right? So the idea to play, allowing yourself to have playful attitude, be curious, discover. I just happen to use my whole career into play therapy because I truly believe it's transformative. Books, the power of storytelling, the power of telling your story and hearing others and reading from others' perspective can open up, very creative, maybe even art books, journaling. We also have nature. Truly believe being outside when it's not storming, but being outside, feeling the heat, feeling kind of the senses. That's a great way to kind of take in the visual input, as well as touch, grounding. One thing I love to do outside with my kiddos is walking on the ground with my shoes off. Now, obviously, you can't do that at work. I mean, if you can, it'll kind of. But if you're at home or right before you go to bed, it's like, let me just ground myself, right? Walk in my garden, anything like that. And last but not least, really attachment-based connection. Who can I connect with? Who do I feel seen? Who makes me feel safe, right? My clients, how can I connect with them, right? Because everybody has a story to share, and it's up to us to listen to those stories and engage and listen. And we have a story to share as well, right? And so that's just kind of like I want to reorient and hook us into what I'm going to talk about in terms of like that creative, getting to that creative resilience. All right. So of course I got to do self-promotion. But these are pictures of, for my branding photography. Because when I started this practice a year ago, it was so important for me to give visual storytelling of what is it that healing can look like. And there's pictures, shout out to Casey Gift for really giving me that, the photography of me holding the Century bottle, and as well as blowing the bubbles. And then the middle, Renee McDaniel, amazing out in Manhattan, um, wanted to see me in action. What does that look like in play therapy? So as you can see, and guess who the model is? My daughter, my beautiful little daughter. She is playing in sand tray, but I also have clients, especially my creative coaching clients, who I asked them build a sand tray where you feel in control, where you feel safe. Let's color. Let's take an activity and just color 6 boxes of feelings. Draw 6 boxes, put the feelings in there, and just pick a color that represents that. And that's it. You can draw anything like that. Bubble breathing, bubble breaths. Even if you don't have bubbles available, just pretending. And this is for my people who are in working with schools. And so we have someone on the chat that said adult clients say nah when I suggest them to pick up fidgets or feel free to use adult coloring sheets. Right. But then after a few minutes, okay, I will. Then they'll admit they loved it. You're inviting them. And I'm the same way. In my toolkit, I have a little squishy art, right? I just say, hey, whatever you need to use that's free, have it available. Have it available for you, right? Sometimes there's this intimidation of like, can play really work with adults because, we're very cognitive, right? Like, what is coloring going to do to help talk about that hard thing? But if you just have a gentle invitation, right? And just say, I just have markers. Like the visual input can automatically calm the senses down, right? Um, I have scented markers. So I love this blueberry. Takes me back to the 90s. I aged myself a little bit, but but using scented markers is just kind of really important for me because it activates my smelling senses. Ah, yes, yes. You're using the same exact to mark doodle. Yep, that's right. Because again, you're getting all of it. You're looking, you're seeing, everything like that. All right. You love them. So the other thing in your joy toolkit is like what we just alluded to is using their fidget tools, right? So you can use some of this, squishies, bounce up and down. It's a you'll never kn- it can be so surprising um when you toss it back and forth with a client, right? Because again, it's lateral stimulation. It's them engaging, it's grounding. It's kind of like good old-fashioned throwing baseball in the front field, but instead it's fidgets. So you can talk with people like that. You can use Legos, again, inviting play, inviting arts for them to have a sense of self-expression. All right, y'all, who's ready to draw? Me. Okay, so get your paper out, y'all, or you can do it on the back, and you're gonna do a heart map. So I'll give you a few minutes. On your heart map, this is a really great tool that I love. Yep, love that Legos are there. My kiddo shares personal heart. Yep, there's people who use Legos, and that is also activating creativity because using tactile, sensory, using moving, mechanical, right? Excuse me. And anyway, but activity is the heart map. So I want you to go ahead, just draw a heart and just kind of take squiggles, just piece it out to 4 pieces. One is what feels heavy right now. You can write, you can draw, whatever that is. What gives you energy? What hobbies bring me joy? And the people you love. So the purpose of it right now, and it's a great tool for clients, is to be reminded of like allowing them to express what's feeling, what is it right now? What helps me have energy? What hobbies bring me joy? And the people I love. Possibly a coping plan. And didn't even know it, right? But it's again, drawing a heart, feeling it, coloring it. And so I'll give you a moment to just kind of fill that out. And if you're like, I don't really, again, you're kind of more in the reviving, surviving mode, understandable. If you just want to color it in, color the feeling you have, color in color in the space, that's fine too. All right. So that's kind of what I do. It's whatever you need, whatever your body decides to do today. Okay, so the time is 12:30. So I'll give you 5 minutes to color in, and then we'll get right back. So I'm going to stop my video and stop audio and come back. All right. So we got like 2 more minutes, but I thought it'd be important to talk about, well, um, kind of what's your energy givers and what's takers, right? So for that question that talked about what gives you energy, we also need to know what takes our energy, right? Um, and so, if you want to take a quick little assessment and see how many, if you have a lot on the left side, right? Like naming that and say, what gives me energy and what takes away is a really helpful way to understand how to access the creative resilience. So for me, I love nourishing food. I like overpriced smoothies. That's just my emotional support. Same with cup. Love listening to my favorite comedians and their podcasts as I'm doing notes. So again, for folks who had to do documentation, which is helpful for our career, why not make it playful and listen to something that is um, freeing and laughing, right? There's a cam. Someone told me the other day you can put Kansas City Zoo and they have a cam and you can watch just animals play. And just that visual input, the stimulation can help kind of reduce kind of the stress when it comes to documentation. But yeah, there's sunlight, friends and family, specific friends and family, I should be honest. Being able to maybe on the taker side, there's possibly certain foods and alcohol, when you're dehydrated, an inconsistent sleep pattern, overthinking, setting unrealistic goals for yourself. I'm going to complete all 12 notes tonight, when it could be like, let me break it down. There's a thing called the Pomodoro technique, which is just 25 minutes of work, then 10-minute break, 25 minutes work, 10-minute break. I use it on my YouTube. It's from YouTube, and I use it all the time when it comes to like breaking down. You can then use it when you want to be creative and say, I have 25 minutes to kind of just draw whatever, and then 10 minutes to take a break, listen to brown noise. But I just want to do a quick check-in for folks. How did it, as you're wrapping up and doing your heart map, do you feel like this is something that would be useful for your clients, for yourself? What did you feel? What did you notice? Go ahead and type it in the chat. I see some hearts. Thank you. I'm feeling brave. Yeah, yep. Some folks had a hard time thinking of hobbies. Yeah, yeah. Maybe this is kind of, for what it's worth, a self-awareness piece. I'm feeling creative. Yes, yes. Maybe building a little bit of that resilience. hmm Even identify, don't do a lot. Okay. And even just looking at this, I asked you questions as terms of the heart map, and some folks are like, I just realized I have nothing that gives me energy. Good information, right? Um, mhm. And for folks, I'm sure there's people who use journal prompts, art journaling, bullet pointing, all the things to do, workbooks, and it's like, it just feels kind of like I gotta like do it forced. But if you were to draw it in a map, heck, I would even recommend drawing like what season you're in. What's your emotional landscape? Do it feel like it's a storm? Does it feel like it's kind of windy right now? Right? Just drawing it out, using your non-dominant hand, so that forces you to engage, right? Helps out. People see how it's versatile, had a hard time thinking what gives me energy. This calmed me a lot because it gave me space to organize. Absolutely. That's the name of the game here. What space gives me giving your giving yourself a sense of peace, even if it's a little bit, right? Um, and the hobbies could be a way to say, well, what will get, what are hobbies that will get me to having more energy, right? If it's creating, like for me, crocheting, all of that, that's not for me. It's too tactile, too much. But if you're saying write a creative storytelling, that's me all day. Love that. Um, so another thing too is the regulation toolkit. Thanks for everyone to share. Using watercolors, right? Here's the thing with creative. Sometimes it's hard because it's like I have to create something. It has to turn into something. The objective and the goal is just to unlock. Like just the act of using your non-dominant hand, just the act of drawing that heart, the act of just taking a break is creation. And that is getting resilience, right? For me, it's also having um, lavender spray if you need to create the environment to help activate those resources. Dr. Teal's is really great. Using lavender spray, everything like that. So any lotion-based eucalyptus kind of lotion really helps as well. Tea, right? Just setting the environment and fidget tools. So again, what's in your toolkit? Or what would you like to add to your toolkit? Do you have sprays? Do you have um, sensory jars? Um, do you even have something that's a little like what do you call slumber gel? So some kind of gel you can put on the side of your temples. What do you have? Type in the chat. Textured fabrics, right? Fidget solutions, right? I have this stretchy, silly putty. I know there's like therapeutic putty where it's lavender and putty. Hello, what's that about? Candles, fidget tools, smoothing stone. This is a really cool tool. I have textured stickers as well on my computer, candles, don't forget to relax, all those kind of things. People say, "What's this slumber gel?" So try not to, I got it from Brits out in Lawrence, and it's just this like little bit of gel made out of I act like you can smell it, high grade lavender, and it's just kind of a light liquid where you just lightly put on your temples and just like a lavender-based gel, essentially. And you put it on your thing, you put it on your wrist, and it's because our skin, our epidermis is like the quickest thing. That's the quickest way to engage in our senses is to put something on your skin. So the active lotioning, the active sense. And I know so there's some nose sensitivity as well, so be mindful of that. But that is helpful. So making sure to put essential oil straight to the skin helps. But that slumber gel helps a lot. Yeah, so we got some people, they got their toolkit. Now, is it in your car? Do you have it before you go to work? Another thing that you can use, I'm sure people are familiar with this, but even with yourself, what are five things you see, five things, four things you can touch, three things you can hear, two things you can smell, one thing you can taste? That in itself helps activate and gets people clients and yourself reoriented and grounded into the space. So maybe you're in between, you're going back and forth, and it's like, okay, just a mad rush, right? Having a moment to just take a breath, notice five things you can see, four things you can touch, right? I really use it for my walk and talks. I even, like, as you can see here, my daughter drawing on the sidewalk with my clients when we do sidewalk chalk. Yep, that's a thing. I asked them to say five things you can see, four things you can touch. So if you're already walking, now you can just kind of get more engaged and be surprised by what gets unlocked, right? So the next time, even in this session, you can say, okay, right now I see my ring light, I see my window patio, I see string lights, I see fun putty, you know, and I see um, my mouse and those kind of things. And so that's another way to do it as well. So, oh, the dreaded question, but what if I don't have time for self-care? Oh boy, you keep saying do this, do that. I mean, I'm a self-care enthusiast myself, also an overfunctioner, recovering perfectionist, as well as overfunctioner, and I recognize that the boundaries have to be boundaried. There's a book that I like to call We Will Rest by Trisha Hershey. She is part of the Rest of Resistance. She's like, you have to play an escape artist. This thing of like grind, hustle, move, 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 fast, fast, fast is like um not easy. It's not great for you and for self and for others. And you're like, well, you're asking me to have self-care and time for that, but I don't know if I can, right? And you will, because you're going to create your own joy menu in 5 minutes or less, right? Part of the toolkit that you're going to download from the website will give you that. So you can drink water outside. That's something that's you can do, right? Draw or color one emotion. Maybe not an act of changing it, but just noticing. Draw or color one emotion. Pick a color that represents what you're feeling, all those kind of things, right? Listen to one song, right? So the power of music, auditory stimulation. Read one page of a favorite book. You're like, well, what about the whole book? I'm just saying, in 5 minutes or less, if you read one page from your favorite novel, that already grounds you. Perhaps holding a comfort weight or weighted blanket. I have one on right now that helps me stay grounded, right? Texting one safe person, right? And noticing one beautiful thing. Again, the five, four, three, two, one. I'm noticing, I wonder, I see. Have the curiosity because your inner child wants to play and wants to be seen and wants to create, right? And so it's like, but I just don't have the time. And I understand that. But prioritizing it, making the time, even if it's 5 minutes or less. And these are just kind of ideas. So if you can, maybe put in your heart map, okay, here's one thing I'm going to add to the joy menu, right? I will commit to having that. So far we're at time 12:45, so about 15 minutes. And I think that the four pillars of framework, again, is a gentle reminder that play is there to help express. what's inside our hearts, what's inside our minds. Books, the stories helps integrate things. Okay, what makes sense? Because humans are meaning-making machines. We feel like we can take more meaning when we know it's rooted in narratives, um, storytelling, right? So even reading a book, being part of a book club, all those kind of things helpful. Reading audio as you're walking or doing, or you can be like me, do laundry, do this, do that. Write notes. But I like to, again, I love laughing. I love humor. And I'm not able to go to the comedy show, you know, but I love watching and listening to my comedians just riff. Um, Again, connection stabilizes. So feeling like you're rooted in the connections you have, FaceTiming, helping, connecting with others, and nature regulating yourself. Maybe it's like, let me just be intentional about taking a 5-minute break outside, even if it's just a walk, and do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, to get out the building, reorient it, change it up, right? So here's a couple things about me. There's ways we can work together. I do therapy services. I provide walk and talk therapy, family therapy, anything like that, speaking engagements, all those kind of things. I want to give a shout out, special thanks for my branding photographers and Kalamazoo for helping out with the photos. And thank you for that. And that's all I have for today as far as tapping into your creative resilience. And so we can use this time to do Q&A, or better yet, do another play activity and color. So tell me what you want. You want to ask questions or you want to do another activity?
Let's do one more activity and then we can have some
Perfect.
time. Can have some time for questions.
Yes, of course. Happy to do that. All right, so the one more activity I want us to do is we're going to listen to, we want to play. I love it. I love it, y'all. Okay, so I'm gonna play this thing called handpan. Anyone familiar with handpan? I just want to play it for 5 minutes. And while I'm playing that song or playing the music, just listening to it, just taking tone, I want you to create an emotional landscape. Um, yes. No worries. I believe this is recorded for those on the line, and the website I can put in the chat later. But before that, go ahead and for emotional landscape, I just want you to draw what season you're in. Not season we're in right now, like summer, but what season you're in your life in terms of I'm either coping or striving or thriving. What does that look like? Um, so that's what we're gonna do is take another piece of paper, and do your emotional landscape. What are you feeling? What are you noticing? And don't make me take it out. The emotional wheel. And don't just pick this, right? Pick the second or the third, and you can use that. So, all right. So let me go ahead. I'm gonna unshare my screen and then play that song. Uh, And like I said, just go ahead and draw the emotional landscape while we listen to this song. I love handpan. Can everyone hear it? Good, perfect. Thanks for the thumbs up. Listening to the rhythm. Yeah, listen to this often. Oops. I was put on. One of my clients told me about, creative coaching clients said, like, listen to handpan, change your life. Okay. And hold your questions. Let's give it a couple more minutes. You can also try ASMR. I recommend the slime ASMR. Just kidding. But that helps as well. Bilateral music is where it's at. You're right. Absolutely right. Take notice of what you're feeling in your body as you're hearing the sound. I love that he's in nature as well. Visually relating to everything. So whether you're in a place of storminess or frustration, maybe earthquake, tornado, just take notice of giving yourself this peace at this moment. Listening to the sounds, listening to the melody, let it move through you and notice the sensations. Your neck, back and forth. Sorry for folks getting kicked out. Again, here we go. We'll listen to it for one more minute. What do people type in the chat? What do you feel now? Now that you was able to listen, because I did give you a lot of information, so I'm mindful of that, right? But I want us to leave with a sense of calmness, a great reset. Yes, peaceful. You absolutely deserve it. There you go. Yeah. Let's all go nap. Hmm. So this is just a example of when you are in the space to want to create, perhaps listening to the handpan music to help you get in chill vibe, or people who use, chill lo-fi. I love that. But, using brown noise, white noise, pink noise, I learned that from my own, when I had children, like what helps me feel, grounded. So thank you for those feeling at ease, feeling calmer. Felt my shoulders drop. That's right. Yeah, yeah. Notice if you're feeling some emotions too, right? Wow, is this what it looks like to have a sense of resilience through this creative mode, right? Mm-hmm. Then in less than 5 minutes, and I'm already in touch, more in touch than maybe I was an hour ago, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Release. Take notice. That's right. So this ain't a group therapy, y'all. But, I appreciate so I always gotta give the little Marvel funny, whatever in the quips. But I'm glad to hear that. So, all right, Jamie, that's my cue, yeah?
I was just muted. So with that, what questions do you guys have? We still have a few more minutes and would love to answer some questions for you all. What questions do you have? You can put it in the chat. You can also put it in the Q&A. Either one works. I see lots of hearts. Okay, so some of the questions about are about the presentation. Um, so what age, okay, this is a good question. So what age do you start doing play therapy with kids?
I'm sorry about that. Great question on that. So you start therapy typically 3 year as young as 3 years old, and we see the modality really helps all the way up till they're 11 or 12. I will say, yep. Because around that age, teenagers, they kind of fall off from using play. But I found that it's rooted in like using being as young as 3 years old, and then as old as 11 or 12. hmm and I will put the website in the chat. What else is there? Do you have any advice introducing more play elements into work with potentially skeptical adult clients? Great question. Advice, is really just allowing yourself to have it available. Have the markers, have the fidget tools just available, right? And invite the client to say, I always tell them like, sometimes some people are internal processors, verbal processors, and they need something tactile processors, like something with their hands. So I just have that available if you want to, use it, right? 9 times out of 10, they're like, okay, thank you so much. Um, so hopefully that answered your question. That's playful elements, but really it's about you maintaining your curiosity, right? You being able to have intention with being discovering and being in the delight of that client, right? That brings how play can be transformative, if that is helpful. Susan, you said I can see taking 2 to 3 minutes to reset yourself before member call sessions. Is that what you do? Absolutely. Yes. Need my mental reset. So I learned today that maybe that 1 minute non-dominant hand, that activity, just kind of the doodling with my non-dominant was really helpful, right? Just to stay engaged because, I get it. You have to wrap up, do notes, do billing and all that stuff. But if you just take that one moment, that sip of water, walking out, coming back, squeezing that toy, right, can be able to help. Book recommendation on self-care. I actually have a list called Joy Revenge book list. You can find it on that website. You can download it there, and it has lists that is rooted in the different elements, the play, books, um, connection, as well as nature. When you seem to lose your fight to not for your consumers, but with the powers that be, is that burnout? Hmm. Curious about that. Oh, thank you for folks. Thank you again for being on. Um, yes. When are you doing another presentation? That's up to the Metro Council Committee. Anyone, give a thumbs up if you felt like I came in stressed and I came in feeling a little bit more creative. I'm ready to play. I'm ready to engage. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. So I'm happy to do presentations like this. You can even take me to, invite me to your professional development, core retreats, and I can do this as well and activities. But yes, the powers to be, when you are experiencing kind of a toxic workplace and you're experiencing burnout, the signs of like, I'm just really irritated at my clients, at myself, I'm short, right? The leadership, I'm feeling a sense of like not feeling seen or heard, right? Or getting not paid my value or my worth, right? And you just losing that fight, meaning like not the one to speak up, not the one that's called psychological safety, right? Where you don't want to take any more risks anymore. And so that does kind of, our brain doesn't want to be creative in that moment, right? It just wants to shut down. So hopefully that answers your question, but if not, you can feel free to email me. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. So important. I'm so glad that we got this in such a short amount of time. You got a lot of good information. Thank you so much. And thank you. And
So thank
go
you all so much. And thank you, Angelique, because that was incredible. It was just, it was nice to know that we can have some time to just decompress, and kind of get into our get into our play self. And I don't mean that like in a yeah, I mean that like in the best sort of way of like, being able to just
Just be.
like just
Mhm.
be and be creative.
Mhm.
So the certificate of attendance is what I had put in the chat a couple of times. I can post it again. So please remember, please save the link and the password, and try to get that certificate throughout the day today. If everyone goes to get the certificate right now, it will actually crash the site. Um, so please save that password, save that link. That's how you get your certificate of attendance.
Yes.
So the password and the link is for the certificate for those of you that need certificate of attendance.
Right. Right. Slides are not going to be available, but the
Mhm.
toolkit will be. So you can get a one pager, which, information condensed that talks about these activities you can use. So glad. Yep. All right. Toodaloo. Talk soon and
Okay.
hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
All
Okay.
right. Bye.
Bye.